Hello.
Hi, Mario.
Hola.
Hello.
Hi, Kenny.
Hey, good evening. Erev Tov, everybody.
Erev Tov. Okay, we are on Memhei, Amud Aleph, Masechta Eruvin 45. The Hatnan, Rabbi Eliezer Oimer Shtayim Yikones. Rabbi Eliezer was the Tana who said that if you are outside of the Tchum but within 2 amas of the Tchum, you can go in Shlosh Lo Yikones. My lad, Rabbi Eliezer Tamei. Rabbi Eliezer is consistent. Omar, the Hu Be'emtzon. That means when the halacha states that a person who's outside of the Tchum has 4 amos in all directions, what it means is he's in the middle and he can go 2 amos to the west, 2 amos to the east. So therefore, when he's 2 amos outside of the Tchum, basically his personal Tchum and the real Tchum intersect. That's why he can go inside. But the Arba amos diavole rabbanon command the mivladom, right? It's a intersect. The Ka'amar Yikones. And Alma have lost Tchumim Milsi because we were debating yesterday this issue of whether Tchumim, when Tchumim overlap, does that have halachic validity? So based on the Gemara's proof right now, that when Rabbi Eliezer says when you're 2 amas outside your Tchum, you can go inside the Tchum, it's based on this halachic concept of havlas Tchumim. What you're asking a kasha from Rabbi Eliezer, because I have been taught in fact, the Chachamim don't argue with Rabbi Eliezer if it's for a Dvar Mitzvah. If you're leaving the Tchum for a personal matter, then they don't agree. But if you're leaving it for a Dvar Mitzvah and you're within 2 amas now of the Tchum, because you only have to go 2 amas out, you could go back in.
Well, why is that distance of leeway only 2 amos? Why is it not, we always say dalat amos of halacha.
So that's
Don't walk in someone's
right.
dalat
So
amos. Why doesn't he have 4
Kenny,
amos that he can go back?
Kenny, so Rabbi Eliezer tamei de Omer v'hu be'emtzon. It's exactly like we explained. When we say a person has dalat amos, it's not that you have 8 amot, according to Rabbi Eliezer. That means what you want to say is you have dalat amos in all directions,
right?
Meaning 4 to the west, 4 to the east. But no, Rabbi Eliezer learns you are, when we say dalat amos, v'hu be'emtzon, you're in the middle. That means you get 2 to the west and 2 to the east. So, and therefore, if you're standing 2 amas outside of the Tchum, your 2 amas that are your own personal thing interact with the Tchum. That's why it's only 2, not 4.
Thank you.
The Mishnah's last statement was, because we talked about if Eidim are called to serve as witnesses for the new moon, we gave them leeway that if they, but we also said if someone leaves to their Tchum because they're saving somebody's life, and l'chora, even if you're 1,000 amas away from your Tchum, out beyond your original tchum, you can go back home, even though now you're traveling 3,000 amas. In fact, is that so? Vafilu tuva? That means there could be an opinion that when you have to leave your tchum to save somebody, and now you've saved him, and now you're, whatever, 5,000 amas away from your house, you only get a new 2,000 amma tchum in either direction, but maybe not more than that. And that's what the Gemara asked. Afilu tuva, even if you're going to end up walking more than 2,000 amas, the ha'amrit reisha al payim am v'sulo. In fact, the reisha seemed to suggest that you only get a new 2,000 amma tchum wherever you are, and you don't get the 5,000 or 7,000. So what it means is in a chanami, you don't get more tchum. What you get is choizrin b'klei zayin koma. Meaning, you have to go save somebody's life. You needed to go with weapons. So you're allowed to take your weapons to save the person. Now you've saved him. So you should probably just leave your weapons there and go back home. So no, you're allowed to go back with your weapons. So umay kushya, but this is no proof. Dilma lahatzil shiny. That means we're talking about going more than 2,000 amas. Let's say you end up saving somebody and you're 5,000 amas away from home. You're allowed the whole 5,000 amas. But maybe that's not, maybe lahatzil is different than, for example, edus. Ela ikasha hakasha, did not. Berishona lo hayuzazim misham kol hayom kulo. When the Eidim first went to the Beis HaMikdash to testify about the Chodesh, and they went chutz l'tchum. So they were allowed to go there beyond 2,000 amas, but once they arrived there, that's it. They couldn't walk any further beyond where they were. The problem is people wouldn't come. So Hiskin Rabbi Gamliel Azok and Sheish Lo Alpayim Am L'Chol Ruach. They were given a 2,000 amma tchum, even when they came to Yerushalayim. V'lo elu bilvad amru, not just witnesses. Ela afilu chachama haba leiled, a midwife who traveled beyond the tchum to help someone give birth. V'haba lahatzil min agayis min anor min amapolis min adleka. Somebody who knew that people needed help from the army, or from an overflowing river, or from an earthquake that was trapped people, or from a fire. So originally they said Harei Hein Ka'anshe Ha'ir. They're like, if they go to a certain city, they have the rights of the people in that city. Afraid the Gemara, what? They only have 2,000 amas for Sulava Amrit. Our mission says they can go back 7,000 amas, 10,000 amas. No matter, you can go back home, even if it's more than 2,000 amas. Amrit Amarav, no, they only get 2,000. But you might have thought that they have to leave their weapons where they are. The answer is no, they can go back with their weapons. As they returned to the city, they didn't carry their weapons all the way back to their house. The moment they got into the city, the first house where they could deposit the weapons into the house that's near the wall, they would deposit it there. However, once the enemy saw that they had snuck into this house to deposit the weapons, the Rotfu Achreya, and they chased after them. The Nichnasu L'Tol Klei Zayim, when the Jews saw the enemy coming, they all ran into the house to get their weapons. And the enemies went in after them. So there was a push. The crush to get their weapons was so great that they trampled fellow Jew, and more Jews died than what the enemy killed. At that time, they made a takana that you're allowed to carry your weapons back to your house. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Omar Loi Kasha. It depends. If the Jews have been victorious over the nations of the world, then you only have 2,000 amas. You don't have the rishus to go back to your house. But if the goyim have been victorious, then we're allowed to go all the way back to our house, even more than 2,000 amas. Gentiles that have come to do battle with Israeli cities, and here they're coming for money reasons. They're not coming to kill people. They're coming to get money. The din is on Shabbos you're not allowed to go and fight them with weapons, and in Machal on Shabbos, and you're not allowed to go Machal Shabbos if they're coming just for monetary reasons. When do we say you're not allowed to go and fight them in Machal Shabbos? When they're coming for money reasons. But if they're coming to kill Jews, and the Shulchan Aruch paskins that way. Nachrim Shabbat Lotz Al Eretz Yisrael. Im kan aliske nefashois yotzim melcham aleim mechalon Shabbos. Aval inyonim amonois en mechalon Shabbos. But im hayu ayaretz smuchas l'sfar. We're going to see that if the city was on the border, even if it's for money reasons, you can go fight them on Shabbos.
Does this only apply in Eretz Yisrael, or this applies in Chutz Laretz? I mean,
we'll see very soon.
Might say to the riots,
Right. We'll see in a minute. And the Ramah adds, "Mutter lahagdim v'latzeis l'mechama im yodim shanochrim omdim lavu." You can go out in a preventive war. Uve'iras muchal sfar, says the Gemara, afilu lo ba aliske nefashos el al iske teven v'kash. Even for minor monetary matters, just for straw. Yoitz nalem b'klei zayin mechalam Shabbos. The Rishonim explain that a border city, if you conquer the border city, that's an invasion. It's an opening for an invasion of the whole country. So that's much more critical. Amar Yosef Bar Manyumi, Amar Dachon Ubavel Ki Ira Smuchal Esfar Dami V'Tirguma Narda. That Narda, that was close to the border of Bavel, where a lot of Jews lived, you were allowed to fight on Shabbos as well. And Rashi says, "Shaisa smuchla nachrim mitzad echad, ula ayarish yoshve bnei gola mitzad sheni." So l'chora, from here, it would appear that if it's a Jewish neighborhood and it's a border between the Gentile and the Jew, you'd have the same rishus. Although in my reading of the Shulchan Aruch, it didn't make that nafkamina. The Gemara makes it, but the Shulchan Aruch didn't bring it down. Dorash Rav Dustoy Divin Biri. David HaMelech was told, there was a town called Ke'ilah, and they're ransacking the granary. Immediately, Tana Ke'ilah ira smuch l'sfar. So first of all, Ke'ilah was a city smuch l'sfar, and it's clear that the Plishtim were coming for grain, not for nefashos. Which is a grain elevator. David asked the Urim v'Tumim, will I be successful if I go in battle? So my coming boy, what was this question to the Urim v'Tumim? It was Shabbos, and he wants to know, is it permitted or prohibited to go and do battle? You had Shmuel, who was the head of the Bezdin. Those kind of shilas would go to Bezdin. Rather, he wanted it. He knew the halacha that you are mechal Shabbos. He wanted to know, was he going to be successful or not? In fact, Hashem told him, go. Shramina, that this is the raya from the psukim about this issue, about if it's an ear smuchal asfar, you can go and bechal Shabbos as well. Mishnah. Misha Yasha Baderach. Person was on the road. The Omad V'Ro'a Rezehu Samach Le'ir. And he sees there's a city close by to him. And when he sat down on the road, it was Erev Shabbos. And after Shabbos entered, he recognized that there was the city close by. So he was tired. He didn't know that he was in the tchum of the city. And he let Shabbos fall. And now when he was, after he finished resting, he saw that he was close to the city. Because we've been learning all along that you have to sort of consciously establish your domicile as your Makam Eruv as Shabbos comes in. So, Rabbeir says he doesn't get the tchum of the city. He can get 2,000 amas from where he rested into the city. But beyond there, he couldn't. However, Ikanes means he gets anywhere where the city dwellers could go, he could go. We assume that he would have known, that he would have seen the city, he would have clearly made it his domicile. In fact, Rav Tarfon below Miskaving, this happened to Rav Tarfon, and he didn't know that night had fallen, that he was within the tchum, and he hadn't have special kavana, that he should make his shvisa be'ir. But Rav Tarfon went in and used the tchum of the city. So this is an example. Sometimes, the Tana will give you halacha and give you a story to support the halacha that he quoted. Tanya, Rav Yehuda, Ma'aseh Rav Tarfon, Shaya Malach b'derech v'chashkelo, he was walking. Shabbos came in quickly. The lon chutz la'ir. He slept outside the city. The shachris, it's Roy Boker. The shepherds saw him. You didn't know there was a city here. Ikones. So nichnas v'yoshev beis hamidrash v'dorsh kohem kulo. He went in. He darshan armorlo shamrai Hashem belibo. So first of all, you don't know that it wasn't in his heart that he wanted to make that city his domicile. Or maybe beis hamidrash moved up to trumaya. Maybe it was within his 2,000 amas. There's no raya that he used the whole city as is tchum. Period. Mishnah. Misha Yoshan Baderech. Person went to sleep, Erev Shabbos, and while he's sleeping, it becomes Shabbos below Yodesh Chashecha. And he happens to be near a city, but the Mishnah says, Yeshua Apayim Amlachol Ruach de Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. And he gets 2,000 amas, even though he wasn't awake as Shabbos came in, so he didn't consciously be koine shvisa through Yediyah. The fact that he was there is enough, according to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. No, since he was not awake and aware, he can't be koine shvisa in that location even to get 2,000 amas. Ein lo elo arba amos. He only has arba amos. We paskin like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri that he gets all 2,000 amas. Now, when the Chachamim say that you're restricted to arba amos, this is like what Kenny asked earlier tonight. He's in the middle of his arba. But Rabbi Yehuda Omer no, lezer ruach sheyirtzeh. He gets 4 amas in either direction. So basically, Rabbi Yehuda gives him 8, 4 here and 4 there. Well, Rashi says, no, he gets 4 amas, yeah, because he could go either way, but once he goes there, once he chooses to walk 4 amas west, that's it. So he's not in the middle, he's sort of at the extremis, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So you don't get 8 amas, you get 4 amas, that's it. And once you choose your 4 amas, you can't go anymore. That's what Rashi says. Right? Once he chooses, now, let's say there were 2 people within 3 amas of each other. Within 6 amas of each other. Where 2 amas, they're going to share, right? If 2 people are standing 6 amas away from each other, they each have 4 amas, so they're going to overlap in the middle 2. They can bring their food to the middle area that they share and eat together. However, but everybody's objects only follow their tchum. So you can't transfer your friend's object into your tchum because you're going to be taking it where it's not supposed to be taken. Similar case, hayu shlosha. Here, the middle guy shares with the 2, A, B, and C. B shares with A and C, but A and C don't share at all. So hu mutar imahen, the middle guy can eat with both of them. And hey mutar imo, but ushram achitzon masrim zem zeh. A and C can't eat together because they don't share any tchum. You have 3 chatzeros, A, B, and C. Upsuchas l'shus rabim. Right, these chatzerim are open l'shus rabim. So irvu shtayim ma'im tzois. If A and C make an erev with the middle guy B, he mutar simayim, they mutar simo. They can carry items in that joint area. But ushtayim achitzonis asra zumzu. But A and C will not be able to do any interaction between them, those 2. Boiro. Mike Sav Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who said that if you fall asleep wherever you are, you're koine shvisa even though you're not awake. Even a kli that doesn't have an owner, and Shabbos comes, they're koine their mokom. And that item can go 2,000 amas. So if a kli can be koine shvisa, then certainly then certainly a human being can. Uvedinu de liflok b'kelim. Really, the machloka should have been by kelim of hefker. However, Rashi says a sleeping person who's not having kavana for any shvisa is similar to kelim of hefker. Show you how far the Rabbanon are machmir. Even though you have the sword to say hoil v'nir kana, that if he was awake he would be koina. So maybe he'll say yoshanami kana. So maybe he'll be koina shvisa v'mayz asleep. Kamash b'landalo. That chachamim are machmir, not even not. So that's one way Rav Yochanan might hold that chepsei hefker koina shvisa. Oidil maksav Rav Yochanan ben Nuri ba'alma chepsei hefker ein koina shvisa. Perhaps kalim that don't have an owner means kalim that have an owner can be transported wherever the owner can go. But maybe a kli that does not have an owner, there's no shvisa for it. So then why does he say that a sleeping person is koina shvisa? Because hoil v'nir kana yoshanami kana. Maybe because of that concept that since if the human being was awake, he would have the potential to be koina. So sleeping, he's given it to it sleeping as well. So we have two potential svars. Rav Yosef Toshma. Come in here, a raya. Gishanim sheyordu me'erev yontif. Rain that fell from the clouds, erev yontif. Yesh len alpayim am l'chol ruach. That water can be transported 2,000 amas in any direction. L'chora, right now, it's like chepsei hefker. B'yontif, rain that fell on yontif, harein kiragle kolodo. They were not koine shvisa by themselves because they were not around erev yontif. And whichever person takes that water, he can take that water wherever he's allowed to go. Now, what's the proof? So here, the rain that fell erev yontif, and that was around when yontif came in, and now the water was given its own tchum of 2,000 ames. Obviously, then who would be the author of this price? It would be Rav Yochanan. But if you're going to tell me that chepsei hefker are not koine shvisa, so how many? If they both hold that it's not koine, who is the opinion of this brisa that's giving water that fell erev yontif 2,000 ames? Lo Rav Yochanan Rabbana. So Yosef Abai v'kamer lo lashmaitza. Abai was learning the sugya. Amalei Rav Safra Labaya. V'dilma b'kshamim asmuchin la'ir askinon. V'anshe oisrayer daitem alayu. Maybe we're talking about rain that was close to a city, and the people of the city already had in mind this water, and that's how they were. Just like the city has 2,000 amas from the city, they had their das on this water. The city used this water collection, and this there's not a raya, perhaps, that chepsei hefker is koinin or not koinin shvisa. Amalei lo sakadai. That doesn't make any sense to learn that way. This nan bor shel yochid. You have a water cistern that belongs to a private person. Kiragle yochid. So that water can be transported wherever the owner of the bore can go, wherever he's permitted to go, that he can take the water. Now, if the bore belongs to a city, shel osa'ir, kiragle osa'ir. So wherever the city can go, that water can be taken. Shel oile bavel, we learned previously in Eruvin, those wells that were used by the people coming up to Eretz Yisrael, aliyah l'regel. So whoever fills up his pail, kiragle amamale. V'tanya bor shel shvatim, which is this kind of bore that were used by the Jews that came up there. So Yesh Alpayim Amal Choruach. Well, what is it? Karagla Mamale? Or is it Alpayim Amal? No matter what, Kashin Adadi. El Alav Shmami Nahar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, who says that clay Chepsei Hefker are coined in Shvisa, and therefore the water in the public bore gets 2,000 amis and Harabonon, which is just Karagla Mamale. So Kiyaz Lakami Rav Yosef Amar Le'ochi Kamer Rav Safra. This is what Rav Safra said, V'ach Yahadrele. And this is what the response was. Armalei B'maylo Temelei Migufa. Why didn't you ask like this? That if the people of the city had their mind on this rain, we wouldn't say we'd say so since that terminology wasn't used, must be that wasn't the correct sort of retort that was made. Okay, Omar Mar, we're going to analyze something in detail that was mentioned. We said b'yontif, if the rain actually fell on yontif, so harehin karagle kolodim, whoever picks up the water can carry it to wherever his personal tchum is. Freit the Gemara v'amai likni shvisa ba'okianis. The Gemara says or understands that all rainwater is taken from evaporation from the ocean. And wherever it is here now, it's clearly 2,000 amis away. It was originally koinish shvisa, this water, in the ocean. Then it got evaporated, and now it rained here. But this rain is 2,000 amis from where it originated from. So it should be also to take them anywhere. That's what the Gemara's question is. Lema deloy Rabbi Yezer must be that we're not holding like Rabbi Yezer. Nik Rabbi Yezer ha'amar kol ha'olam kulo mimei okeanos shows that. Rabbi Yezer said all rain comes from the oceans. So if we're now saying karagle kolodim, we're obviously not holding like Rabbi Yezer. Amar Rav Yitzchak, no. No, we clearly saw these clouds become thick erev yontif, and they would so it's right on top of us, right on top of us. They didn't come from the ocean. Who says maybe what you thought were the clouds? These are different clouds. We're coming from much further. He says the islu simona begavayu. They had some kind of simon in the cloud that they knew that was the same cloud. Or this concept, if it was the same cloud or not, it's a suffix of a rabbinic law, because all of the din of tchum is rabbinic. And suffix de divrayim lahakel. We can always be makel by a suffix to Rabbana when it comes to Eruvin. Freit the Gemara, what do you have to talk about the ocean? Likni shvisa ba'avim. Let the shvisa be in the clouds, Erev Yontif. And you can measure the tchum from there. Since we don't, and we measure it from the ground, tivshit mina dein tchum l'mala masara. Yesterday we had a whole debate whether the concept of tchum exists 10 tefachim above the ground, or we said by a boat when it's 10 tefachim above the seabed. Well, why don't we use this as a proof to say that we don't hold of tchumin l'mala masara, because otherwise we would have measured from the cloud. The iyesh tchumin above 10 likni shvisa ba'avim. Let the water have been koine shvisa in the clouds. So the Gemara says, lo'olam ema l'cha yesh tchumin. Really, there is tchumin l'mala. However, maya be'eva mivla bli. The water in the clouds were absorbed in the cloud. It wasn't water yet. It's got to condense and come out as water. Right now it's muvla. It's not maya mamish in the cloud. It's in a different form, different surah as water. And it's not water yet. And therefore it's not koine shvisa as water. Tomorrow the Gemara will ask, well, then maybe noilet, since a new thing came into being, it should be also because of noilet.